All right, so it's May in New York here. I haven't mowed the lawn yet. I'd like to let it grow a little bit before I mow anything. But this video is not about mowing my lawn. This video is about running bamboo, which I have right here. I'd like to say I didn't plant it, but I did plant it. You gotta think long and hard before you plant this, okay? It's physically exhausting. Let me explain to you what I did and how I did it and how it actually didn't work out the way I wanted it to. All right, because this year it got underneath the barrier that I put down and it was coming out over here. So you definitely don't want to do it unless you have room for it to expand. Here's what I pulled out of the ground, okay, which should not have gotten out of the ground, but it did. All right, I got about, there's a fence back here because we have a pool. I got about 80 feet on the other side of the fence. It's my property before the other guy's property starts. So if it gets away, it's not going to be in his yard. I rented an excavator. I drove it through the fence here, and I dug a trench. I guess I didn't dig it deep enough. I dug a trench in an oval around here, and I put down poly barrier that was made specifically for this. Now, I don't recall how big it was. I thought it was 4 feet, but apparently it's not, because over here it's only maybe 2 feet deep. And I guess I didn't really follow the instructions the way I was supposed to. I buried it. So I didn't realize you're supposed to leave it sticking up. You're supposed to leave it sticking up because the rhizomes can get over the barrier. So the first couple of years, I buried it. There was just a couple of, I bought maybe 5 plants, and I had a garden over here. And I was surprised to find, after like year 3, there was bamboo popping up here. I said, what the hell is going on? And I didn't realize. I started digging, and there were a whole bunch of them that came over the top. So definitely don't do that. So after I pulled it all up, and I went around the back. Anything that was going over, I cut. I kept a little trench around here. I made sure I could see the top of the barrier film like this. And every year, this thing fills up with leaves. Every year I go around and I make sure nothing's going over the top. And every year you get like 1 or 2 stragglers that try to cross. Well, part of the reason I don't mow the lawn until maybe like June or whatever, especially I don't mow this part of the lawn, is because I want to make sure no bamboo comes up here. If I see a stalk or 2 and I would accidentally mow over it, it'll continue to grow underground, and I don't want that. So I leave this part, and this is probably year 13 with this stuff, and it's been absolutely fine until this year. This year, and I go around. That's right up against the fence, and there's all kinds of stuff there. So I crawl around. You have to be in good physical shape. If you're like a 75-year-old person, I suggest not doing this. But anyway, I crawl around the back there, and I check. And if there's anything's gotten over the barrier or starting to cross, I snip it. And it's been okay. Haven't had a problem since maybe year 2. This year, I go out and I go to cut the 2 that are heading across in the back, and as I'm coming out, I see a couple of these things, like over here, like what the F is this? So I start digging up, and long story short, it went underneath. All right, that's about 2 feet down. Somehow it got underneath and went underneath the barrier film over here. And somebody, I watched a lot of videos on this stuff. It said they like the sun and they like to be warm, so they don't go down too far. Well, that is partially true. I dug these things out, and what happened is after they went under, they came up towards the surface and they were coming out pretty high. So I pulled them out. The furthest one went about to here. You can see they're over here. And this is kind of what they look like. I'm thinking about going and planting this in a neighbor's lawn that I don't like. No, but this is what they look like. So these things come up, and this is pretty mature. This has been in the ground for sure for a long time. Look how thick this is. All right, there's one coming up here. I mean, there were a lot of these. It was 3, 4, 5 crisscrossed over here. I think I got it all. And what I did was I poured this stuff, which is toxic as hell. Imazapyr 4SL. You don't want to pour this near any trees or anything, because apparently it'll kill anything that's around, anything that has roots around. Hopefully I didn't kill that tree. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I don't like that tree. But I poured that, and I poured some Roundup, which you gotta be careful. I wore gloves. It's 50%. And both of these were about $70 a pop, so not cheap. Initially, before I dug all the way to the bottom, I've seen people take buckets of salt water. I've seen all kinds of things. I could have just pulled up some of the roots and poured it on the roots. I don't want to kill the whole plant. I like it. I like this thing. I mean, you can see one's coming up here. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see. What can I see? Yeah, there's one right there coming up. They come up kind of in a line, so wherever this is headed, there's probably a couple more around here, but this is the season. They're starting to come up now. So we'll see what we get. There's some bare spots like here, but I'm glad. I don't need it so thick. They're starting to get so big, some of these things, that they're bending over like this. I'm gonna have to cut this back and I'll make it go back up. That's it. Here's a big one here. I didn't do such a great job, by the way. Here's a big one coming up. I don't know if you can see. Let's see what that's looking at. There's one right there. Another one there. Another one there. Like I said, it comes. They go off of a whatever you call that thing underground. So you can see how badly this is done over here. What happened is, when I rented the excavator, there were some big boulders under here. There were some gigantic roots, and I couldn't put this around the giant root. I didn't do a great job. If I had to do it again, I'd be much more careful. Because the reality is, it does spread, it does run. I'm thinking of buying one of those little Chinese excavators for a few $1,000s, like a 2,000 pounder, like a 1 ton, and maybe digging something like this all the way around this whole thing. I could do it by hand. I did a lot of it, but it's a pain. It's a pain. I don't know. Like, if it decides it's going to go underground, under this thing over here, I'm screwed. I mean, I could come in with I have this wrecking bar thing right here. This thing is awesome. I can come in with this thing and literally jab it down and go back and forth and see if I can feel anything and wreck the ground here. But like I said, it's been 13 years. I was not expecting this. Hopefully it was just this one area where these couple of things got away. I'm going to be on the lookout for anything coming up over here. And if I find anything, I'll make another video. I understand that once you're separated from the mother plant, so to speak, that this thing can't live by itself, but who the heck knows? I think if you let it grow and get leaves like this, so you have photosynthesis, it'll become its own plant. But otherwise, I don't think it's going to. I don't think, there could be like this, like underground still over here it snapped off. I'm not sure. I hope not. I tried to get the whole thing, but it was very difficult. The stuff, even though it's not very deep, it's tenacious. You got to be on the hunt for this stuff, and you have to be very careful. So that's it. Be very careful before you plant running bamboo. Even if you put in a border. If I had to do again, I would get clumping bamboo. It does look very nice. I mean, I have no issues with the way it looks. It's very pretty. It does, like I said, our neighbors are pretty far away. But compared to, I don't know how well you can see. What is this? There we go. Sorry, this stupid camera sucks. Compared to like over here, it's definitely pretty. It's definitely high. doesn't even get that much sunlight over there because there's a lot of big trees that shade it. So that's what it looks like. It looks pretty. It stays green pretty much most of the year. This year it didn't. I guess it was a warm winter because it really didn't die. A lot of years it turns like yellow. The leaves fall off. This year it really didn't. It's been like this all year, which is nice. But be very careful. Be very careful before you plant this stuff because it's invasive. It really is. And like I said, you have to be out here on the hunt. I saw a video of somebody just kicking down the ones that were coming up. He said, oh, that's how you get rid of it. Just kick it down. But the reality is that doesn't kill what's on the ground. It just spreads underground. So I really don't want something that's completely fills in the entire yard, but nothing's coming up because every year I'm kicking it down. Then I'd have to rent an excavator and rip up this entire backyard. So, I mean, if a little bit goes over here, I want to catch it right immediately. The second something comes up, I'm going to dig up like I did over here. That's it. So, be careful. That's my story. Thanks for watching.